Meantime, it's confession time. Time to hand out another smart speaker. Today's smart speaker goes to Mr. Fly. Thank you, Mr. Fly, for today's tale. If you have a confession for us, we'd love to hear it. confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. I can hear music in my head as well, but it's not me. Don't look at
Definitely not.
Yeah. Another Richard Allenson.
Yeah.
Mess up.
Yeah.
Allenson, come on. Anyway, Mr. Fly says, Father Simon, I'd like to seek forgiveness for a rather unfortunate event that took place during my late teens. It was 10 years or so ago, and I was in a teenage rock and roll band with some friends from school. We did everything together, and we rehearsed a few times a week in my room with dreams of making it to superstardom. On one occasion, during a night out on the town, my closest friend and guitarist, let's call him Spider, came up to me and told me it was his dad's 70th birthday, and that his dad's favourite artist was none other than the mighty Sir Tom Jones. During my teen years, I was lucky enough to have spent some time around Sir Tom, as my dad had done some work alongside him on the odd occasion, which Spider was aware of. This is why on this night he said he could think of nothing better to gift his dad with than an autograph from Sir Tom that was personalised for him, and he asked if I could make it happen. Well, I'd had a couple of shandies at this time, so I said, sure, no problem, leave it with me, I'm sure I can. And off we went to continue the rest of the night out. Well, a couple of weeks passed, so I'd forgotten all about the chat with Spider until he came to me with a nicely presented profile photo of Sir Tom that he'd bought with his own money, which he'd like to get the birthday message and autograph on. It was at this point that the remnants of our hazy conversation on that night came flooding back to me and reminded me of what I had promised to do. So I took the picture to my dad and asked him if there was any way he could get Sir Tom to autograph the picture with a birthday message for Spider's dad. Now, while it's fairly common for Sir Tom to sign autographs for fans, you could say it's not unusual.
Oh, come.
My dad swiftly declined my request, as he had a strict policy of not asking for autographs whilst at work in case it seemed unprofessional, which seemed very fair. I was now at a loss. I'd promised to arrange this birthday gift of a lifetime and now had no way of doing it, but I couldn't bring myself to tell my good friend that it wouldn't be done. That was until a flash of inspiration came upon me. I grabbed a pen and paper and Googled what Sir Tom's signature looked like. For the next 30 minutes, I was scribbling away, trying to perfect the most authentic-looking autograph of Sir Tom. Soon enough, I felt I was ready for the big moment to apply my Tom Jones-esque signature to the photo print I'd been given. I began with a pretty solid start of, "To David, happy 70th birthday, best wishes." However, with the pressure of only getting one shot at the signature, my hands suddenly began to shake. Despite some pretty good attempts on the notepad, what came to pass on the photograph was what I can only describe as a shaky, smudgy, feeble attempt at Sir Tom's signature. I can show you an example in just a moment, by the way. I have attached a picture of my attempt on the photo for reference, along with a real version, so you can see what I tried to replicate. This is no use for you at home. Obviously, it's quite useful for Matt and Katie Susie. There was simply no way I could give it to Spider. There was no way that he would believe it was genuine, so I left it on my desk and hoped it would be forgotten about. However, one evening Spider came round to my house for a band rehearsal. With a sudden outcry of elation, he shouted, "You've got it!" as he spotted the autograph photo on the desk. "I can't believe you got it signed. Thank you so much." As I turned around, he was beaming with joy. I didn't have the heart to tell him the true source of the autograph, so gave him a cheery, no problem, anytime, and he took the gift home to wrap. To this very day, this photograph is on display in a nice little frame in his dad's living room. It is his pride and joy. Until this very moment, only I have known that it is really my signature up on his wall and not that of Sir Tom Jones. And if you compare the two, it's obvious. I'd like to seek forgiveness from you, from Spider, for defacing his nice photograph of Sir Tom Jones with my feeble signature attempt, and to his dad for displaying said feeble attempt on his wall for 10 years and counting. So this has been a confession, a long time in the brewing. Lovely crossfade.
Yes, I thought so.
It was.
No, it really was.
Thank you. I've been practicing over the weekend and everything. The voice of authority and responsibility, Sister Katie Susie.
Yeah, I'm really worried that we've just crushed Spider and Spider's dad's dreams. I feel very guilty about it.
So he's now 80.
Yeah,
He's 80 years
I'm
old,
really,
and for 10
really
years he's
sorry.
been living a lie.
Living a lie.
I just feel like Mr. Fly, you had multiple opportunities to be honest with Spider in the first conversation, when Spider gave you the photo, then when Spider found the photo, you had so many chances to be honest and you didn't, so you are not forgiven, Mr. Fly.
Brother from another gutter.
Well, I would say there are two things here. I mean, the first one is obviously having the fake autograph, but I think Mr. Spider has been very happy with that photograph. But then there's the second deal, which is him owning up to it, and I'm not sure I would forgive on that score. But on reflection,
Yes.
I am going to forgive
Oh, what a
for both
turnout.
of them. Massive turn up for the books there from me.
That was almost
Who
like
had
winning
that?
on penalties.
It
there.
was penalties, wasn't
I thought
it?
it was going to go one way. and it
Upset
went the other.
Cast. Yeah.
Very nicely done. People's verdict then. Do you forgive Mr. Fly, yes or no? Tonight's confession came from Mr. Fly, and a torrid tale of a fake Tom Jones autograph, which has lit up... who was it? Yeah,
Mr. Fly.
Mr. Fly, but it was Spider. It was Spider's
Yes,
dad.
Spider's
It's been
dad.
on Spider's dad's wall for 10 years. It's his pride and joy, but it's a fake. Exposed by this programme.
Wow, we went all watchdog there,
That's
didn't we?
right, that's right, yeah. Okay, people's verdict, here we go.
So Shona says, absolutely forgiven. He made an elderly fan very happy.
Fair.
Tom says, though, I can't forgive Mr. Fly. I am lucky enough to have a few autographs from my favourite football players. If I was Spider and his dad, I'd be absolutely crushed at the news. Not forgiven. He should have been honest with Spider so that he could try other avenues to get an autograph from Sir Tom. I respect the effort that he went to Googling the signature, but fear he went too far. That's from Delilah.
Maybe, oh, very good. Why? I mean, why?
Yeah, I mean, why?
If you have an autograph-based confession, or a Tom Jones-based confession, a rock star-based confession, or I was in a teen band confession, you can send it to us. We'll trade it for a smart speaker if we use it. It's confessions at greatesthitsradio.co.uk. 18 minutes past
There
9.
you go.
There we go.
Boom.
How about that? I didn't ask producer Katie Susie because she actually sits at the sunset.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, I
Oh,
do.
right, yeah. Moonlighting
I do.
there now.
Absolutely.
She compile. She does the calculation
Yeah.
with the sunset square.
Oh, very good.
I know it well.
Stressed Mum has sent in today's confession. Thank you, Stressed Mum. PG certificate, maybe?
Ooh.
I don't, kind of.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, slightly.
A hint of a PG, maybe. Simon and your forgiving listeners. My story takes place on one of our first foreign family holidays. Our children were below school age, and so was one of our last chances to have a cheap holiday during term time without the risk of a fine from the government for daring to take our children out of school.
Okay.
She didn't say it with that tone of voice.
No.
I added that in
really?
quite unnecessarily. We went on holiday in September and had a wonderful 2-week period in the sun. My only concern was that we were having a late flight back on the last day, but the holiday company assured us that it would not be a problem as we could have a virtual check-in. They picked up our luggage early so that we could stay by the pool. We had a room where we could go to change, and we had transport arranged to take us direct to the airport and straight to departures. Consequently, we had a lovely last day by the pool. The luggage was picked up as promised, and I had some bags packed with our change of clothes and everything else we needed, i.e. nappies for the younger one and toys for the plane for my husband. No. For the elder child. We went to the room, showered, I got the kids ready. My husband took them down to the park for a last go on the slide to allow me to shower and get changed in peace. This was the point that I realized I had packed everything except one thing, underwear for myself.
Oh, no.
I checked every bag, but nothing. Okay, well, not to panic. I had kept one nice summer dress to wear home, and having put it on, I was okay. It was long enough to not be a problem, and we were going straight to the airport before heading home. Everything would be fine. I mean...
Okay.
The journey home passed without incident. The only issue was the X-ray machine. It did beep, but I assured the security lady I had nothing left to remove. We landed, and our youngest was asleep, so I told my husband I would carry him off the plane if he carried all the hand luggage. We got to the top of the steps and realized, as we saw lots of people on the plane, all in their shorts and T-shirts, that the season back at home had changed whilst we'd been away on holiday. We left during the warm end of summer, but arrived home in the autumn. The rain was pouring.
Oh, no.
The wind was howling. We were directed to a bus at the bottom of the stairs. And you've probably guessed what happened as I went down the stairs. The wind took hold of my floaty summer dress. Luckily, the legs of a sleeping child held down the front, but the back not only lifted up,
oh dear,
but was flapping in the wind, showing off my rear and making the sound like a flag flapping in a strong breeze. That's the dress making the sound.
Yes,
not
just
my
to
rear.
clarify.
My husband, carrying 4 bags, could do nothing to help.
No.
So my only hope was my 4-year-old, who responded courageously to the request, "Can you hold down Mummy's dress, please?" He battled to grab my skirt and get it under control, pulling it down with both hands, and I managed to get onto the bus, hopefully with a few shreds of dignity. I stared at the floor all the way to the terminal, making sure I didn't look at anyone who was behind me on the plane steps. Although I'm sure at one point someone gave me a wink in the baggage reclaim area.
Dear.
Stressed mum says, "I beg forgiveness, Simon, not from my husband, who could barely hide his laughter on the bus and kept laughing all the way home in the car, or my fellow passengers who followed me down the steps, but I do have to ask forgiveness from my poor 4-year-old. Whether it was the shock of seeing my white posterior or the stress of being given his first responsible job, for the first time being on the bus, waiting at bag collection and getting to the car, he did not leave my side with both hands tightly gripping the hem of my dress. More worrying, for the next 3 months, whenever I wore a dress or skirt, he would quietly say, 'Mum, did you remember your pants?'"
Oh, very, very good.
Well, I think that's very good, and you can see why Mum was particularly stressed. Thank you, stressed Mum. Let's check in with our panel in at the studio here. Sister Katie, Susie, first of all.
Yeah, stressed mum, you are absolutely forgiven. I have nothing but sympathy for you in this situation. Also, all credit to your 4-year-old. Dealt with the situation really well. You know, kind enough to continue to remind you. I think that's very kind. But yeah, absolutely forgiven. We've been there. I feel the struggle, and sometimes the weather does change really quickly, and then you regret your outfit, wearing a skirt or a dress or something like that. So yeah, I hope that this hasn't happened to you again since.
Yeah, particularly when you come back from holiday, you dressed appropriately for when you were leaving Greece, and you come home and you're in Manchester, and all of a sudden it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
Anyway, but let's see what Brother Matthew.
Yes, I
thinks of it.
confidently predict universal forgiveness for this one. I don't think anyone's going to be against stressed mum, and even if it is just for that the payoff line, "Mum, did you remember your pants?" Fabulous. I love it. Yes, definitely forgiven.
Okay, it's the people's verdict, though. Do you forgive stressed mum? Yes or no? On the text 61054, start your message with Simon. 61054, start your message with Simon. Or you can email simon@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. Do you forgive stressed mum? Yes or no? We could well have a whole swathe of wardrobe malfunction confessions, but anyway, for the time being, we're after the people's verdict. What say you? Well, we'll continue Tuesday in a moment, but first the people's verdict on our stressed mum, who realised when she was coming back with her holiday from having had a great time, but she'd packed all her underwear, so consequently she got caught out when coming down the steps, thus terrorising her 4-year-old, who I think recovered, but only just. So the people's verdict, here it comes.
So Eve in St Albans says definitely forgiven. How absolutely hilarious. And what a little diamond holding mum's hem down. Sounds like the little fella may relive this scenario every time he sees someone in a billowing dress on a windy day. Hannah in Worcester says stressed mum is totally forgiven. I can only imagine the embarrassment. Well done for raising a little boy who'll grow up to be a gentleman and help ladies with their dignity in the future. And Rachel says, I'll add my name to all those who will inevitably forgive stressed mum. Fabulous confession, but particular congratulations must go to Matt and producer Katie for holding it together in response to Simon's flag-flapping noise clarification. So professional, I had to pull over at that point.
Excellent. Okay, very good. Thank you very much indeed. Your confession's welcome. There is a smart speaker for you if we use your tale, and maybe that has sparked a thought in your mind. Maybe you thought you'd never actually confess to it. Well, we changed the names, we changed the areas. We don't use names most of the time, so you can let us know quite safely. Confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. Anyway, and today's confession, if you got one, we'd love to hear it. Send your confession to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. Today's comes from Dr. Doolittle. Thank you, Dr. Doolittle. Not his real name.
No, really.
Surprisingly. Father Simon, Brother Matt, Sister Katie Susie, I'd like to beg forgiveness for the following incident that took place at a well-known zoo in the late 1980s. I hope that's sufficiently vague enough for you. It's a tale with a warning, a very clear warning, which we will get to. At the time, Father Simon, I was a student working in the stores department of the aforementioned zoo. One of my jobs was to replenish the gas canisters in the numerous kiosks scattered throughout the zoo, which sold ice creams, ice lollies, sweets and hot dogs. This was to provide them with all the power that they would need to cook, freeze and so on. I realise you probably don't need to be told what gas canisters are for, but just in case, I thought I'd mention it.
Quite right.
This particular day, I received a phone call from Jasmine to say that her hot dog machine had run out of gas.
Okay.
And as it was a Sunday and a lovely summer's day, could I come quickly as she had a big queue of hungry people and didn't want to lose a lot of sales. Now, I was always going to get there very quickly because, unbeknownst to Jasmine, I had a secret crush on her and always used any excuse to go to her kiosk to check out
Yes.
how she was.
Check out how she was.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
She looked, Father Simon and team, to my fevered teenage mind, somewhere between Olivia Newton-John in Grease, the leathered version, and Kelly McGillis in Top Gun. I mean, she was amazing and fragrant. The drill was that the stores team would fit the gas canister, and it was up to the person in the kiosk to turn the gas on and light it using a match. Dr. Doolittle then says, remember, this was the 80s. Although it occurs to me that that's still the way you would
Light gas.
Most likely.
Unfortunately, that day, for me, all zoo procedures went out the window. I was so pleased to see Jasmine. I grinned, I told her some jokes, tried to look cool, even if I was in my regulation stores department brown T-shirt and hat. Oh well. I mentioned some Miami Vice episodes I'd seen recently. And
It is the 80s.
Weren't Crockett and Tubbs the coolest?
Yeah.
I was working very hard here, Father Simon, for no obvious reward, but I carried on regardless. Surely eventually she would see me for the sensitive, misunderstood intellectual that I thought I might be. Anyway, I was so wrapped up in this performance that I inadvertently switched on the gas. We had a further quick chat about the Stone Roses, I think, and then I left. So, Jasmine then went to turn on the gas, she thought, and struck a match to light the burner. There had obviously been a bit of build-up of gas during the 5 minutes that the gas had been leaking, and there was after report, a small blowback, causing Jasmine to badly singe her fringe. Singe the fringe! Her eyebrows were gone, and she lost most of her eyelashes.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
Just, in fact, like Itch in the beginning of that book.
Yeah. That book, of course.
What I hadn't known and would have been crestfallen to discover was that Jasmine had recently become engaged, and that evening her in-laws-to-be were coming for a meal at her parents' so that the four of them could meet along with Jasmine and her doubtless rich and handsome but also shallow and vain and intellectually weak fiancé.
Obviously. Yeah.
Sure.
I didn't know any of this, but I do need to seek forgiveness for my act of foolishness. This was not a deliberate act to throw a spanner in the works for Jasmine's engagement meal, which I swear I knew nothing about at all. I thought she still looked lovely, even with singed hair, no eyelashes, and a slight smell of burning emitting from her clothes. Can I also seek forgiveness from the zoo, who had to put all sorts of health and safety measures and training in place following my misdemeanour.
Oh, all sorts of it, yeah.
And also the warning, therefore, that I mentioned is, I think, obvious. Always, everybody, be very careful with gas and matches. It could have been a whole lot worse for her, but I believe that Jasmine had an aura that protected her from the worst that nature had to offer on that day. An aura that preserved her beauty forever. Okay, I think you've just lost it. Just lost it slightly at the end there. Thank you very much indeed, says Dr. Doolittle. This has been on my conscience for the last 33 years. Okay, well, could have ended very badly, but it was an innocent mistake. But the voice of responsibility now is, of course, Sister Katie Susie.
Yeah, I know that it wasn't a deliberate act, but it's similar to yesterday's, isn't it? That could have been so bad, and it still was so bad and so careless. Poor Jasmine, I would have just been heartbroken if that happened to me and felt very insecure afterwards. So, Dr. Dolittle, you should have taken more care.
Yes.
You are not forgiven.
I think that's probably right. But let's see what Brother Matthew makes.
I mean, honest mistake. Which of us could honestly say that we have never, forgotten about the gas and and on the hot dog stall? A pity that the aura didn't save her eyelashes. What a shame that is. But in a funny way, didn't it help advance health and safety at the zoo by making sure that they would be able to sort that out in the future? So in a way, didn't Dr. Dolittle do something for all of us? I'm going to forgive.
61054 on the text, please. It's the people's verdict. Do you forgive Dr. Dolittle or not? 61054. Start your message with Simon Think. Meantime, the people's verdict is here on tonight's confession, which came from Dr. Dolittle and his love for Jasmine and the gas leak. And here comes the people's verdict right now.
So forgiven, says Michelle. The autopilot was created from such mishaps. Jasmine's suffering helped to make us all safe. Liv says, not forgiven. I have a fringe and have now developed a fear of it being singed. Thanks, Dr. Dolittle.
Don't singe the fringe.
Don't singe it. But Jason in Bristol says, forgiven. It was such a long time ago. I'd hope that her hair has now grown back and she's happily married. Gas tends to make a lot of noise when it comes out of the canister. So if she'd been concentrating, surely she would have heard it.
So it's her fault.
It's her fault,
so
according
it's
to
Jasmine's
Jason.
fault.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
That's an interesting take.